Hello friends, I am Shantanu, your coach, and now we are going to start chapter 3 of GST, that is GST in India. First, let's see the study objective of this chapter. Although it talks about the history of GST in India, यानी GST का पूरा history यहाँ पर इन्होंने दिया हुआ है, how GST was evolved in India. But apart from this, it also talks about GST Council and the functions of GST Council. इसके ऊपर भी question आ सकता है. And apart from this, it also talks about the Constitution Amendment and the GST legislation which were enacted in this GST framework. Another important thing which is covered under this chapter is tax subsumed. इसका मतलब ऐसे कौन से taxes हैं जो replace हो गए हैं GST से. So we are going to see these taxes under two heads: central taxes subsumed and state taxes subsumed. And apart from this, it also talks about the main objective of GST, destination principle, and the essence of GST. So at least one question you can expect from this chapter, and there can be a couple of questions also. And if they set an easy paper, the question will come from this part. And if they want to set a tough paper, then they may ask question from history of GST. So we are going to see the history of GST in such a way that you will be able to recall all the historical points of GST. Now let's talk about GST in India. So if we talk about GST in India, it started from year 2000, and that is also July 2000. The activity to implement the GST started in India, and finally on 1st of July 2017, GST was finally implemented in India. Now here again, they says that it is the biggest taxation reform in India, which has integrated the state economies. तो states जो थी, different states थी, उसकी economies को उसने integrate किया है. इसका मतलब उसको आपस में जोड़ दिया है through a single tax system of GST, and that will boost the overall growth of Indian market and Indian economy by creating a single unified Indian market. And here unified Indian market means the same tax rate will be applicable throughout India. So here what they want to tell you that one nation, one tax theory is applied here through GST. Now apart from this, they also have again reiterated here that GST is a comprehensive destination based indirect tax levied on goods as well as services at the national level. So comprehensive, we have already seen comprehensive means it covers goods as well as the services. Destination based means as the goods and services move from one place to another place through a principle of supply, indirect tax, that is the GST, will be levied on goods and services at the national level. Now, as far as examination is concerned, you have to remember all these facts which we have studied here in this slide, because they may ask a question like which one is true or which one is false or like incorrect or correct. In such cases, each option of the question A, B, C, whatever choices you will be given, you have to analyze each and every option. So that is the reason you have to remember each fact and the statement, whatever we are studying here, to answer the question correctly. Now, based on what we have studied till now, I am asking one question and you have to answer it correctly. So the question is, choose the correct statement. There are four options. Option A, GST is the biggest direct tax reform in India. Option B, GST disintegrates the state economies. Option C, GST creates a single unified market at state level. And option D, none of the above is correct. Now just pause the video and try to select the correct answer. Now the correct answer I have given in the description of this video, and you can cross check your answer with the correct answer. Now there are two possibilities. Either you have answered it correctly, and if this is so, it means your level of concentration is good. You are able to absorb the facts and statement correctly in the video. But if on the other hand your answer is not correct, that means you have to study carefully. You have to focus more on the facts and the statements. Now just look at the main objective of GST. The main objective of GST is to consolidate multiple indirect tax levies into a single tax. So we have already seen that so many indirect taxes, we have clubbed all these into one tax that is called GST. So we are basically consolidating the multiple indirect taxes into a single tax through GST framework. So you can also say that it subsume array of tax levies. Subsume का मतलब absorb कर लिया. एक single GST ने बहुत सारे taxes को absorb कर लिया है, like excise, like service tax, like value added tax. Now the list of taxes subsumed by the GST is very long, and we are going to see all those taxes in a list form after some time in this video lecture. Now let's discuss about the destination principle. This is very, very important under GST. That is the destination principle. As we have already seen this earlier also, the taxable event has been moved from sale. अब sale नहीं देखना है, अब आपको क्या देखना है? Supply. If the goods or services are supplied, tax will get attracted. So under the destination principle, GST is a consumption or destination based tax and covering both goods and services, and GST will be collected by the government on value addition at each stages of supply. That is, each point of supply, tax will be collected by the government. So as we have already seen that, let's say this is person 1, he is a manufacturer, he supply goods to dealer, and then dealer supply these goods to consumer. So now you can see there is a supply chain, that is a chain of supply, and the GST will be collected at each stage of supply. That is, when goods are moving from manufacturer to dealer, GST will be collected. Similarly, when goods are moving from dealer to consumer, GST will be collected on the value addition. So for simplicity, we can take the GST rate as a 10%, and if the manufacturer has supplied goods to dealer for 1000 rupees, then 10% of 1000, that is 100 rupees, will be paid by manufacturer as a GST to the government. And this manufacturer will collect this 100 rupees of GST from the dealer. Similarly, suppose dealer supplies these goods at 1500 to consumer. So GST payable by the dealer is 150. However, he will take the set off of GST paid by dealer to the manufacturer, that is 100 rupees, and ultimately whatever is the value addition. So you can see the value addition is of 500 rupees, 1000 to 1500. And on this value addition, 10% if you count, it is 50 rupees. It will be paid by dealer to the government as a GST. So you can see that GST will be collected on value addition at each stage of supply chain. Now, apart from this, there are two important points which you have to remember. The first is deemed supply, the principle of deemed supply. So if one person supplies goods to another person even without consideration, यानी अगर वो free of cost goods भी supply कर रहा है, in that case also the GST will get attracted. For example, अगर कोई डीलर है, डीलर ने अपने ब्रांच ऑफिस को कुछ सप्लाई किया है फ्री प्रमोशनल मटेरियल, in this case GST will be attracted. Earlier, if you note that earlier only excise duty was applicable, there was no VAT on free supplies, but now under GST regime these supplies even without consideration, यानी कोई consideration pay नहीं किया है, just goods को supply किया है without any charge, in such cases also it will be treated as deemed supply and GST will be attracted. So the bottom line is that even the free sample supplied will be taxed under the GST. Second point, you have to note it carefully that the taxable event is now supply and not the sale. So whenever there is a supply of goods or services, the GST will get attracted. So even the goods supplied by head office to branch office as a stock transfer, जो stock transfer की तरह अगर goods supplied किए head office ने branch office को, so these supply of goods will also get attracted by the GST. So it means GST will be applicable in case of stock transfer also. Remember, यहाँ पर sale को supply से shift कर दिया है, taxable event is now supply. So earlier अगर आप देखें तो one person, एक अगर आदमी है, अपने ही आपको वो सेल नहीं कर सकता, गुड्स वो खुद ही को सेल नहीं कर सकता एज पर द सेल प्रिंसिपल्स. तो ऐसे केस में स्टॉक ट्रांसफर के ऊपर टैक्स नहीं लगता था, बट नाउ द सेल क्राइटेरिया हैज बीन अबॉलिश एंड द सप्लाई क्राइटेरिया हैज बीन प्लेस्ड. That is, taxable event is now supply and not the sale. So even one company, one single company transferring goods from head office to branch office will be treated as supply and will be charged by the GST. So the principle of separate legal entity is almost irrelevant now under GST. और इसके ऊपर भी क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कि whether the principle of separate legal entity is relevant under GST. So answer is no, because even the entity is same, both the places belongs to the same entity. In if there is any supply of goods or services from one department or let's say one head office to another branch office, then it will be treated as supply and it will get attracted by the GST.